Hi everyone and welcome to Club 6, Episode 2 of Rolling in the Isles, an FM22 British Isles Journeyman series with me, the United City FM. Welcome along. So we are at Arsenal in our first season with Arsenal. It's kind of gone averagely at the moment. Few wins, few losses, sitting at about 9th in the league. The big problem we've lost 3 consecutive matches across 3 different competitions. And our next 3 games are against Chelsea, Man City and Bayern Munich. Not sure where the points are going to come from, but we kind of need them from somewhere. Let's see how we get on today. Well, here at Arsenal, first off, I've got to say, I was doing an introduction with the screenshot of the league table on it. And I still got our position wrong. We're in 11th, not 9th. It hasn't started brilliantly so far, but we're doing all right for a new team with a new manager, new tactical setup, etc. It's always going to be a little bit hit and miss for a little while, but straight into the fixture list, you'll see these 3 games. In the Carabao Cup, we lost to Southampton. I don't mind going out of that if I'm totally honest at this point. But then we lost to Man United in the league. And then we lost to Monaco in the Champions League. 3 games in a row, 3 losses. Chelsea, Man City and Bayern the next 3 games, including today's opponent Chelsea, away from home. If we don't get a few points at some point in the next 2 or 3 games, it just feels like the start is beginning to kind of come off the rails a little bit. So we have to find a way. And today, a tricky game. If we go into the league table itself, you'll see that Chelsea are currently sitting up in 5th position. Man City in 3rd above them as well. Those are our next 2 Premier League opponents. So some tricky stuff. But we can absolutely win some of these games. It's just a little bit kind of inconsistent, as I say. So for today, we go away from home to Chelsea. Yep, that's going to be a little bit challenging. There is some more stuff that we need to tell you, though, in terms of transfer dealings. Since you and I were together last, the transfer window has ended, and I did make a couple of very late moves. So let's go check those out. So overall, Arsenal Football Club have done very well in this summer transfer window. A lot of it was done before I arrived. There was a few deals that happened either way, in and out, before I arrived. So we've actually made a profit. We've bought in £277 million, spent 234 in trying to restructure this squad a little bit. The last 2 deals on the left-hand side that are a bit hidden for you are the 2 that we're going to be talking about. And they came about because I got 2 reasonably good offers on a couple of my players going out of the club and therefore had to replace them. And the reason that I was happy to do it was that I was trying to bring a more English contingent into the club. With Brexit rules, etc., got to be aware of that kind of stuff. And I didn't think the balance was quite right. So I've actually released a couple of guys and brought a couple of English guys in. Not sure how good a quality they'll be long term, but for now they should do a job for us. So the first one out of the club, and this was the deal that sparked it all really, was this guy, Odubeku. Doesn't sound particularly Irish, but he is. A striker, 29 years old. Was my 3rd choice striker. You can see that his finishing attribute of 13 isn't particularly strong. Heading isn't particularly strong either. Mentals not great. Physicals are very good in terms of his attributes. So you can see he could have done a job for us, but I wasn't particularly sold on this guy. And then Liverpool came in and offered me £50 million for him. So I don't quite know what they see in him that I don't necessarily, other than those physicals are ridiculously good. But I thought, 3rd choice striker, £50 million, why not? Let's move him on, and that will get us a chance to reshape. So Odubeku goes out, and the player we bought in for him is this guy, £25 million, Louis Barry. He's a 29-year-old English striker. He was at West Ham before us. He's been at a couple of different clubs before that. Started out at Villa. And yeah, this guy can play in a couple of different positions if I need him to, out on the wide positions as well. But covering for the striking role, we saw that Odubeku had a finishing of 13 and a heading of 12. Heading of Louis Barry isn't any better, but finishing of 16, composure of 16, a little bit of flair in there, some good acceleration. The mentals are better. The physicals might be not quite as good as Odebeku, but are absolutely perfectly usable. So I think ultimately we've got an overall upgrade, a more rounded player. Hasn't quite hit the ground running yet. He's only played once for us, didn't do particularly well, but hopefully he'll get a goal at some point soon and get off to a good start. But Louis Barry comes into the club in that striker role. And the second player that we sold to then have to replace is this guy, Almeida. Central midfielder. I felt that in the centre of midfield we could do with more of an English presence. There was quite a few foreign talent in the centre of our midfield and wanted just to reshape that slightly. This is the guy that I decided I was happy for him to go. We've got some other very good players in and around the squad in that position. So Mario Almeida goes out of the club and he ultimately went to Shakhtar Donetsk. And we sold him for a pretty good fee, I think, of £27 million. The player that we bought in, we spent 28 up front. It will rise to 31 through different payments. But we bought Zhu Pei in. Doesn't sound particularly English, but he is. And he's a central midfielder. Again, I think more rounded as a player, possibly, but doesn't quite reach the heights in terms of a couple of the key attributes. But this guy, being an English player, can play in the defensive or the central midfield options for me. And I think will be a good squad player for us to have. I'm not expecting too much more than that from him. And again, hasn't started brilliantly well. Played one game, one sub for us so far. Not set the world alight. Not really expecting him to. But as a squad player for injured players so we can rotate, I think he's pretty good. And again, he's English, which does help the Brexit rules. So those were the two that we bought in. I think overall this summer has been pretty positive in reshaping this squad. I think there's another 2 or 3 transfer windows that we're going to need to properly get a squad together I'm really happy with. But for now, it will do the job perfectly well. So we sit in 11th at the moment. Lots of players still getting used to playing with each other. Another step on the rung for us today in that respect as we come up against Chelsea. So let's see how we get on. So in terms of personnel, we do have some injury issues, some slight fitness issues to a few of our players. Leonardo, one of our defenders, is out injured. We've got a couple of other guys from the midfield area that have got a fitness issue for today, so I'm not risking them. We've got a couple of players that have played a lot recently, so a little bit jaded in their match sharpness and their conditioning. So, for example, Pabega comes out of the squad and on the team, should I say, back onto the sub bench, and Zhu Pei goes in and plays in that central midfield role for him instead. So that's one change that we're going to make on that particular occasion. And we've also got our other new signing, Louis Barry, on the bench, just to see if he can get going for us. Martinez is a little bit lucky to get a first team spot in today's match. There's 2 players that are really properly struggling. Well, more than 2 players to be fair, actually, but 2 key players that are properly struggling this season, and there are old boys, unfortunately. Martinez and Tierney, both 34, 35 years old. I knew I was taking a chance in keeping them in the squad, but I didn't want to be too disruptive to the collective. These are our squad leaders a little bit, and it was important to get some semblance of continuity from the previous regime. So I kept them in. At the moment, they are both struggling. I'm going to continue to play them today because I think I need the experience of them against the likes of Chelsea. But at 6.6, collectively, both of those players' average ratings are not good this season. And for example, the likes of Fasanella, who is our young Italian striker, this guy here, let me go on him and you'll see. This guy is absolutely going to take over from Martinez, and it won't be long until that happens more permanently. Just at the moment, he's playing well. He's getting goals for us, but I'm just easing him a little bit carefully so I don't put all the pressure on him at too young an age. So all of that considered, with a couple of changes because of a bit of fitness, and a couple of new players into the squad for today's match against Chelsea away from home in the Premier League. We go with Lafont in goal, Benabid at right back, Tierney at left back, Franco and Leva in central defence, Juppé and Gavi and Cleverley in central midfield, Saka on the right, Arobio on the left, and Martinez up top, should I say, and a 9-man bench all ready and raring to get involved should we need them. So let's get into today's game and see what happens. So, as we're up against a real tricky opponent, I haven't gone overboard in the team talk. I've used the gesture of hands in the pockets just to refrain from being too in their face, and basically just said to the team, I expect to see a better performance this time than the last time out. Of course, 3 losses in a row has really dented the morale and the spirit in the club. So we need to get that back as soon as possible. Is it going to be possible away from home to Chelsea? That is going to be a bit of an ask. I think you look at the likes of Barella and Bellingham in the centre of their midfield. They've got some very, very good players, obviously. So have we. So we'll give it as good a go as we possibly can and see what that brings for us. But yeah, this current run of form is really concerning me with the real tricky opponents that we've got still coming up in the next 2 or 3 matches. We need to find a performance from somewhere. I'm kind of hoping it's here, but I'm not totally sure if it will be. We shall see. We're both in the 4-3... no, I'm in the 4-2-3-1. They're in the 4-3-3. So there should be a couple of gaps around a little bit for somebody to exploit. That's a poor clearance by a defence. Straight to their central midfielder, Bellingham, who gets them on the counter-attack, puts the cross in, and we do get it cleared. Martinez is going to have to hold the ball up. Probably could have done it a little bit longer than he did. He seemed to get rid of it quite quickly, but we retain possession. And we go forwards a little bit, and then we smash it against the woodwork. And it was Lautaro Martinez from the edge of the box who got the ball there and pile drive the shot, but it just clatters the crossbar and comes back out again. A little bit unlucky. The goalkeeper was beaten, all ends up. We get a through ball for Saka. He tries to dink it over the top of the goalkeeper. Didn't have enough pace on it, and it literally just dinks up in the air, and the goalkeeper catches it. But we're putting a little bit of pressure on. We've had 2 shots at goal in the first 20 minutes of the game. They haven't yet registered a shot on goal at all, which is interesting at this point in the game. Still 30 minutes on the clock, and they've got a couple of shots now. But it's been a slow start, a very nervy start from both teams, it feels like. We win the loose ball there. Arobio drops into central midfield briefly to win it, and then tries to run down the left wing and gets a little bit caught out. Gets caught in a bit of a roadblock, really. And they counter-attack and hit the woodwork themselves. Cross came in from the far side over to this near side, and they smashed the ball, bit like we did earlier from distance. They just smack it against the woodwork, and it rebounds, and we get to clear it. Not a lot of quality, it must be said, at the moment. We're just at half-time. There, the whistle goes for half-time. It's 0-0. They've had 6 shots at goal in the end, and the first couple of shots that we had at the beginning of the half are all we ended up having in that half. We only had the 2 shots at goal, 1 on target. And it's not been good quality at all, but we're still in the game at the moment, and at the moment, I kind of think that's as much as I can ask for. If we could come away with a draw, wouldn't be the worst away performance in the world, but there's another long 45 minutes to play. We'll have to see whether we can get through this one. So let's go with hands together as a gesture, and we will go with we've been the better team. No, can't do that. We haven't been. We haven't taken nearly enough shots, and I'm disappointed with that. That's the one we're going to go with. Put the onus on them to get out there, get on the front foot. So we're going to go into the shouts and demand more from them, go from the mentality of balanced up into a positive mentality, and just see as a team whether we can get on the front foot early in this second half. It's a Chelsea throw-in down in their left fullback position. They've gone over the top for Bellingham to chase onto. He does win the ball, drops it back into midfield to keep possession. They do that very well. They've switched from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, still maintaining the ball. And there's some good one-touch football at times there, getting the chance through. And they carved us open. Absolutely carved us open. There's a couple of moments where they took a little bit of time on the ball, but then at others, there was 2 or 3 passes, one-touch movement of the ball quite quickly, And the defenders were, in the end, chasing shadows. And Havertz went through on goal. I think he was onside. I don't think there was an issue there. We'll just check on these lines at this point. Ooh, there was an offside player, but it wasn't Havertz. So I don't think that will be a problem. And it isn't. They do go 1-0 up. 60 minutes on the clock. And again, we've got this issue that we are struggling in front of goal. We've had a couple of shots again in this second half, but nothing really to work to write home about. Saka with a long free kick, and it was a very long way out. And the goalkeeper was never really in too much trouble, although he did palm it away for a corner that we do get in, and the near post header from the corner kick goes over the top of the bar. 66 minutes on the clock. We are struggling still to get in the game, so we're going to have to make a couple of changes here. We've let the game play on long enough, 72 minutes on the clock now. And again, it's a very similar story. Lautaro Martinez, I mean, look, if we go and have a look at him, he's got absolutely all the attributes to suggest that he can still do this at this level. 35 years old, yes. But his pace is there, his acceleration is decent, his mental statistics, attributes should I say, sorry, are really phenomenal because he's a very experienced player. Still got 16 of finishing, 16 of heading. There's everything in there that you need. And he's just not doing it. So he's going to lose his place very, very soon if he's not very, very careful. Fasanella comes in, finishes the game for him. We've got some very poor performances, though. Cleverly, in that attacking midfield role, we're going to have to take him out. I'm going to put Damsgaard in there instead, I think. A 6.0 rating for this game. That is not good enough. But that's the case across the board. Bukayo Saka, one of the absolute stalwarts of this Arsenal side, on a 6.3. Just need these players to show up. I don't know what to say about it, really. It's a real disappointing performance, and in the back area as well, the likes of Tierney, Franco getting a 6.3, 6.4, sorry, should I say? It's just not good enough. So we'll make one final change. We will bring McNeil on. I'm going to leave him on the right hand side rather than the left. He can play both, which is good. He's coming back from a fitness issue, so it's good to have him back in and around the squad as well. But yeah, just nobody quite playing to their potential just at the moment. And it will take a good couple of performances to do that. And I think we might have to wait a couple of games, unfortunately, to get to a position where we play some teams where maybe we've got some slightly easier opponents just to get some momentum in our play. We go 1-0 down here to a hard-working Chelsea side. It wasn't a good game, really. We both got over a 1 XG rating, the expected goals from the chances created. Of course, they took their chance and got their goal, and we somehow didn't manage to do so. Had 9 shots at goal for their 12, so in the end, it was relatively all right, but just nothing exciting about it, and there's no confidence in the team. And we've still got Man City and Bayern Munich to come in the next 2 matches. Could be a bit of a tricky run, this one. Anyway, there you go. Another loss. So, because most of the other teams around us had already played their 7th match in the Premier League, and we've now played our 7th match, our position really hasn't changed. We're still in 11th. We're still quite connected to the teams above us. I mean, the next sort of 4 or 5 clubs are all within 2 or 3 points of us. So it's not like we're being cut adrift or anything, but just at the moment, no momentum, no morale in the team, really. And a lot of poor performances lead to our 4th loss in a row. I'm not quite sure how patient the Arsenal board are going to be, but hopefully they can see that we're playing tricky opponents. Next up for us in the next game is Man City, who are in 3rd, followed by Bayern. We're obviously going to move on a little bit further than that for next episode. So if we go into the fixture list and see what's coming up, what we're going to come and play is we're going to come and play the Burnley fixture, I think. I think it's a good winnable game for us after our second game against Bayern Munich in the Champions Group stage, the Champions League group stage, which we have Monaco and Oostende in there as well, Oostende from Belgium. So it's an interesting group. I think Monaco and ourselves will want to be going through with Bayern Munich It will be a couple of key matches coming up in the next few rounds of that, just to see who gets that second spot in the end behind who I think will qualify top, which will be Bayern. So yeah, we'll come and play the Burnley match. Between then and now, we've got Man City and Bayern, obviously. Then we go on a bit of a slightly better run for us. Leicester, Forest, Villa, then another Bayern match. So somewhere in the Leicester, Forest, Villa, we need to be picking up some points and getting ourselves back on track, really. See if we can do that. Come and join me next episode, see how we've got on. And we'll play that Burnley match. Maybe that's the one where we're going to turn it round. Who knows? But we do need to. So come and join me for that. Thank you for joining me today. Really appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and join my United City community. The more the merrier. Click that like button on this particular episode. That'll help me get seen by more people. Until next time, take care of yourselves. I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.